Hello everyone, this is Macy Selectman, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to try to provide you with some more information about what the personalized learning plan looks like that the kids are using in school this year for 7th grade math, and to give you some kind of tips and tricks that we've given the kids at school to make sure that you feel like you've got all the information that you need at home to be able to support them from your end. So the first thing I just want to show you is the login screen. So you go to summitlearning.org and it'll bring you to this screen. And as a parent, if you're logging in as a parent, you go to the Parents button and it'll come up with a login screen for you. And as parents, you have your own username and password that we gave out during curriculum night on a pink sheet of paper. If you don't have that or don't know where yours is, please just shoot me an email and I will get that for you so that you can log in as a parent. Kids log in going to the login screen and choosing their Dexter School's Gmail account. But as a parent, you can see the same thing that the kids can see. So let me just go to a screen where when the kids log in, they would see something like this, and you as a parent as well. This first screen that it takes them to is pretty uneventful. There's not much going on there unless there are some things like this. These are action items that the kids can set for themselves to be able to be kind of an online to-do list. And we've talked about how they can use these action items on this personalized learning plan, or they could also make a to-do list on paper. And we've gone through a few options there. So what the kids are going to look at in terms of curriculum is they're going to this year. That's the place where they start looking for all of their curriculum that they're learning. So the this year screen has a lot of information that we don't need because it includes a whole bunch of courses that the kids are not taking, are not doing this individualized learning for. We are just going to scroll down and focus on Math 7. And if you click on the Math 7, it will just open up this Math 7 screen in a window by itself so that it doesn't look as crazy and you don't have to scroll through everything else. So let me show you what the different areas are that we're going to be doing in math this year. In Math 7, the first row right up here is the work that we are doing in class together as more of teacher-led activities and some group work and discussions about the deeper content in 7th grade math, how to use a lot of the basic structures and basic algorithms to be able to make some meaning out of the math and do some real-world skills. So these are called concept units or projects, and those are things that we, again, do in class, and the kids might have some homework that comes home with those as well as we do them, but we are just getting started on it. We just started our rational numbers concept unit yesterday, and we'll start some today in class as well. So the kids haven't really done very much work on that yet because we've been focusing on giving them the skills and the training that they need to become a self-directed learner with the other part of the math curriculum. So the other part that is the part that you'll see the most that they are doing in class and some at home on their own are the focus areas. And those are these two things right here. It's called power and additional. It stands for power focus area and additional focus areas. These are the parts of the 7th grade math that the kids are going to work on their own with support from me as well, but where they are working at their own pace and becoming that self-directed learner, deciding what they need to work on and in what way would work best for them to learn it. So in 7th grade math, there are 6 areas that are called power standards or power focus areas and 1 additional. Those are all required to be done with the 7th grade curriculum. The challenge areas down here are ones that they are absolutely welcome to do, but that are not required to be able to finish Math 7. So the kids do these in order. I tell them to do the power areas first and then go to the additional because the stuff that's in here, the content in here, plays off of some things that they would have already done in this particular unit over here. So we focus on power first. Let me show you what this looks like. So if we go into this power focus area, this one happens to be called Operations with Positive and Negative Integers. And most of our students have already passed out of this unit this year. Some others are working on honing their skills and finishing this up right now. But as the kids look at a unit for the first time, what we ask them to do is look at the description first. So it actually tells you the 2 objectives, the things that you should be able to do by the time that you are finished with this focus area. And we ask them to read that and see, do you have any understanding of what it's asking you to do? Do you recognize any of those words? And also look at those key terms. Do you know what integers are, or positive and negative numbers, or additive inverses? Because those are the things that you need to be able to do by the end of this unit. The next thing that they take a look at is called a diagnostic assessment, and that is essentially a pretest that they can take before they get started with this learning process, just to see what they know and to give them some feedback on what they might want to spend their time on. So the kids would click on this button. It won't let me do it because I'm not a student, so it won't let me actually take a diagnostic assessment, but it might be anywhere from 5 to 15 or 20 problems that get at what is the student's level of understanding. It will not be a complete pretest of every single thing that will be on the final unit, but it's just meant to be a starting point. So once the kids do that, the results will actually appear over here. Now this is a student who has gone further into the learning, so I'm going to go to the See All Assessments button, and I'm going back to the diagnostic assessment. So let me go here. This was the first time the student took the diagnostic assessment, and you can actually see what the questions were. Oh, let me go back again. You can see what the questions were that he or she got correct. You can actually see the questions for the diagnostic. Now you can see that this student took that diagnostic assessment once and then ended up taking the diagnostic assessment later as just kind of a checkpoint for themselves to see if they had been learning the materials that they needed. You can take a look at all of those questions, and also what will happen is over here in this area, the score for the diagnostic will appear. So what would be here would be maybe in this area the student got, let's say if this was a 10-question diagnostic, maybe they got 2 out of 5 correct on those questions in this objective area, but they got all 5 out of 5 right on this objective area. When they're looking at the diagnostic, that would have been a pretty clear indication to the student that they're pretty good at what's going on in Objective 2, and they want to focus their new learning on Objective 1. So that's just something that will help them guide their decision making. Now, when we talk about looking at resources after doing the diagnostic assessment, all of the resources are found by scrolling down on the page, and you can see that there are quite a few of them on here. The way that it's laid out is that oftentimes there's an introductory material that might just be some key terms, vocabulary. You can see this one is getting at the definitions for what an integer is or some key terms they might need. So that might be introductory material that the kids can decide, do I know this? Should I spend some time looking at this? Or am I comfortable with what an integer is and what these key terms are? Then we go into the 2 different objectives. So when that table ends, the first objective starts. And in this case, the first objective is adding and subtracting with positive and negative integers. And all of the resources that are in this table here then right below have to do with adding and subtracting positive and negative integers. And there are quite a few resources. We want to give the kids a variety of options to start with. Some of them are links to other web pages. Some of them are videos, and you can see the little symbols there. Some of them are physical practice worksheets that they can do. So we suggest that they take a look at their own knowledge, what they missed from that diagnostic assessment, and decide, do I need some instruction? Should I watch a video? Some of the videos are Khan Academy or other video links we've had. Some of the videos are one of the Mill Creek teachers teaching it. We try to provide a variety of different ones so that the kids can find something that speaks to them and that works for their learning style. And there are also some different reading areas where they might go to read a textbook page. We do suggest that the kids do some physical practice on each area. because nothing is going to beat the practice of doing something with pencil and paper and really making sure they have that knowledge solidified. So if there is something that is a worksheet like this and you click on it, you can see it as a document. And if you want to print it out at home, that is absolutely fine. We do have all of these printed resources printed out in the classroom so that they can actually access those in the classroom and you don't have to spend time printing it out at home. And the other thing I want to show you is if I click on this and they do that hard copy, the answer keys to everything are included in the resource. So they have the answers as well right on their screen, and they can check that anywhere very quickly and get some immediate feedback for themselves. So we do encourage some paper and pencil work as well, just to make sure that they are ready. This check for understanding right here, those are the best type of practice to do to make sure you really do have those concepts down and make sure that they really understand it before they are ready to take a test, essentially, for this unit. You can see when this table ends, then the objective 2 begins, and this one is on multiplying and dividing with positive and negative integers, and here are the resources for those, including a check for understanding at the bottom that my screen is kind of showing you right here. This particular check for understanding is, if it'll let me click on it, through a different website, through Khan Academy, and this one is not a physical worksheet. This is one where you can just type it in and get immediate feedback. So I encourage the kids, though, also, if they want to write these down as they're doing them with the right answer, then it gives them some more practice problems for later. So there's no reason that they can't be using paper and pencil when they're doing this type of resource as well. So the only thing that I want to show you about this as well, a little hint, is that if they're looking at what areas they want to practice more, this student really just needed to practice this objective 1. If I click on that objective 1, it makes it bold over here, and it only leaves those resources available. It takes away everything else. And sometimes that's a really nice thing because the page can look really daunting and overwhelming sometimes. If you click on objective 2, it just focuses on objective 2. So that's a little trick just to keep your focus on what you're working on at that point. So when the kids feel like they have done some practice and they have mastered the material, we give them that chance if they'd like to take the diagnostic again and make sure that at least with those diagnostic questions, they can get 100% of those right in addition to the other practice that they've done. When they feel ready, they can do request a content assessment. So they come up here and they request that. If it's a first try at a content assessment, I'm going to let them go ahead and try it and do that test. If they feel like they are ready to do it the first time, then they can go ahead and request it, and I will approve it in class. We're only taking the content assessments in class. So the next time we have to work on this in class, they could take that content assessment. They are all 10-question content assessments, and they will be taken from a variety, like a question bank that gets at all of the different areas that they are working on in here. So once the kids have taken a content assessment, if they pass it and they've mastered that content assessment, awesome, they are done with this unit and they get to work on the next focus area. If they haven't, and this is where you can see this student right here did take an actual content assessment, and this was the score on the content assessment. So once the content assessment is there, it kind of replaces the feedback that the diagnostic assessment will give you right here, and this is the content assessment feedback. So this student has already taken it, and it is showing still here that the student needs to work more on objective 1 right here. If they do some more practice, then they're ready to try a retake and try this test again. I do have them show me the physical practice that they have done, and we have a retake form that we fill out in class. They can take it home and fill it out as well, and I ask them to attach the physical practice that they have done, and at the very least, I suggest these check for understandings to make sure. I'll show you on this one. Here's that check for understanding, to make sure that they really are ready to take that assessment again. We can retake as many times as we want to. I just want the kids to be ready so that they're not retaking it and feeling stressed about it if they haven't done enough practice. So that's something that I work with them on at school, and I'm guiding them on deciding whether or not they're ready to take an assessment. So once that assessment is done and once they have passed it, then they can go back to this year. And this first unit would turn green once it's been passed, and they would go on to the next one. So a couple other things. This line is here as kind of a reference point to make sure the kids aren't falling behind. In order to be able to keep up with the 7th grade math, they would want to make sure that this line doesn't get ahead of where they're at. It moves along with the school days. So if they don't finish this particular, that first unit, oops, let's get into this here. If they don't finish that first unit by the time this line passes that area, it would mean that they're falling behind to be on track to finish the 7th grade math. Now, if students finish the 7th grade math, we've got 6 and then this one additional area here, then what they get to do is they get to start working on the 8th grade math. So the 8th grade math has 6 power standards right here. There are no additional ones. The challenge are just challenge. They can choose to do that or not. So to complete 7th and 8th grade math, they would get through 7 here and 6 here. That's 13 focus areas this year. And we've done some calendaring and we've counted out weeks and seen how to plan out your time if that is your goal to finish 7th and 8th grade math this year. We have a few students who would like to push themselves to do some algebra this year as well. If they finish the 7th and 8th grade focus areas, then they can go ahead and they can look at the algebra focus areas. So every student has their own goals and their own timeline and their own path, and that's what we're working with at school. If you've got individual questions about anything specific to how to use this resource, how to best help your child, what resources we have at school, please let me know. And again, these areas up here that are the concept units are the things that we are just starting at school. You can see it says not assigned yet because we are just starting it. But we will be getting into that very shortly, and that will take up a lot of our time at school as well. So I hope that this has been helpful for you in giving you an overview of what the kids are looking at and what we're working on. We are still doing lots of lessons on how to effectively do this and make good choices for yourself and decide what resources you need to use and make a daily plan. There's a lot of specific, explicit instruction going on in terms of teaching them how to be the best self-directed learner they can be. So let me know if you have any other questions, and I hope this was helpful. Thanks a lot.